Okay, so the first thing that we want to do before we start diving into any of the other breathing practices is to make sure that we know how to breathe, which sounds really strange. Breathing is something that we do every single day, to the point that you might even feel like you could maybe even say that we kind of take advantage of the fact that we breathe every day. And just because it's an autonomic response is something that we do without having to think about, sometimes it means we can also get into patterns where we breathe in ways that make us uncomfortable or kind of rob us of some of the benefits of what happens when we do breathe really well and really intentionally. When you, sorry, itching. So when you do start to practice breath work and introduce that into your daily living, it allows you to reap some more of the benefits of breath work. And it can be really good for things like managing things like anxiety and low mood, but it can also be used for improving your lung capacity and your aerobic health, but also for energizing yourself as well. Sometimes when you feel low on energy, it can be things that are as simple as taking deeper breaths, more intentional breaths, or also things like your hydration as well. And what we tend to do is maybe go and grab a coffee. So learning to use breath work and consciously taking the time to recognize the benefits can make a huge, huge difference to your life just from a teeny tiny shift. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to breathe. So I want you to find a comfortable space. I'm quite happy cross-legged on the floor, but that might not be an accessible place for you or comfortable place for you to sit. So feel free to grab a chair. So it's best to use something like a high back chair that allows you to sit nice and upright, but maybe feel more supported. Or you could even practice this breath work lying down. And some of the more challenging breathwork practices, indeed, are a little bit easier actually to learn when you're lying down. So if that's for you, what you can do is you can just pop your phone or your laptop or whatever to the side and just listen to the audio and allow it to guide you through. I like to think that the way that I teach, it makes it easy for you to be able to listen to and learn whether you're able to watch the video or not. So let's get started. So before we start, we just want to make sure that we allow ourselves to just land into the practice and create that space between the rest of the day and where we are now. Just notice the breath. So you're not consciously changing the type of breath that you have, you're just allowing yourself to breathe. Notice any rising and falling. As I say, we're not doing anything to change how we're breathing at the moment. We're just allowing it to happen. You might close your eyes, or you might just keep a soft gaze down past your nose. Find a fixed point. Be straight ahead of you. Anywhere that just allows you to find that presence and just feel comfortable. You might, if it's available to you, find a soft smile, soft lift in the corners of the mouth. And before we get started, just take the time to notice if there's any tension in the body. So recognize if you're carrying any tension, maybe in the back of the neck, shoulders, and the jaw maybe, and the temples. And see if you can breathe into those spaces. If you can relax them, allow them to relax just by bringing a little conscious awareness. The areas where you might be carrying any tension. Amazing. So before we get started, I'm just going to get you to roll out the shoulders just one at a time, just rolling backwards up towards the ear and then back and down. And then the other way, kind of like you're swimming with the arms. And just take a little circle, lead in with the nose, just about the size of a saucer, nothing crazy. And then maybe as you get into it, taking circles a little bit bigger. Guide in with the nose. Amazing. And then take it back around the other way. And then bringing it back to center. I should have tied my hair up for this maybe. Okay. So what we're wanting to do is when we're breathing into the belly or diaphragmatic breathing, we're aiming to breathe into the belly. And now, of course, you're not literally breathing into your belly, but it's kind of what it feels like. And with some exercise practices, you're maybe familiar with breathing into and opening the chest and keeping the belly sort of tucked in. And that's not what we want to do here today. We want to try and use the whole lungs. As particularly when we get anxious, we tend to start breathing into the top part of the lungs. And when we're just using that top part of the lungs, we can find that our necks start to get tight and the intercostal muscles of the chest can get tight. And then the pain can get really intense. And sometimes it feels like there's something wrong when it can be because we're just breathing really shallow, something really common with anxiety. So when you learn to diaphragmatic breathe, you're going to learn to use the whole of the lungs, which is also great for the health of the lungs itself. So again, getting your hands, or just wherever feels comfortable. You might find that your hands are more comfortable in your lap or down by your sides when you're lying on your back. Just find whatever feels most comfortable for you. We're going to begin. We're just going to bring our shoulders away from the ears. We don't want to be wearing our shoulders as earrings. Something I used to say quite a lot when I was teaching. And just opening the chest. So as you take a deep breath, so if it's available to you, we want to try and breathe in through the nose, and you're going to imagine you're filling your lungs up from the bottom all the way to the top. You're going to feel your belly expand as you breathe in. So let's give that a go. So we'll go for a count of 4 and see how we go, okay? So a nice deep breath in for a count of 4. So in. Let that belly expand. Feel the rib cage expand. And then release. And you'll feel that belly come back in again. So again, try nice deep breath in, filling from the bottom all the way to the top. So and release a couple more. So you might find that you're only managing to do for a count of 2. So let that belly expand as you breathe in. Feel the rib cage expand, your heart space open, and then let go, all out in. Okay, one more time. and relax. Allow your breathing to come back to normal. So notice what came up for you there, what it felt like. Could you manage to do for a count of 4? It's maybe a little bit tricky when I'm saying for a count of 4 and it's either going a bit longer or it's a little bit shorter. But you maybe found that as it was a longer count, it was a little bit challenging. The purpose of these lessons is just to bring a little bit more awareness to the breathing so that you can then go and practice and going with what feels right with your body. You're going to find that maybe you can only manage for a count of 1 or a count of 2, and 4 is inaccessible at this point. You don't want to force yourself in that case. Just go with what you can manage and pace it yourself. What we're wanting to do is we want to see how it feels to start breathing in and letting that belly expand, the rib cage expand, the heart space expand, and your shoulders maybe open, and then everything coming back in and relaxing again. And that's all we want to be really conscious of there. One thing I do want you to think about when you are doing the breathing is, as you're doing this and it's a new experience, you might find that as you are opening it and expanding, that you might want to find your neck coming up or your shoulders raising. So try and be mindful of any tension that's coming in from taking these deeper breaths. If it's a newer practice to you, you might find that the first automatic thing to happen is tension. Try not to panic or to judge yourself for any of these things, and just recognize it and see what's coming up for you, and see as you practice the breaths if you can release some of that tension as you go. And as I say, when this is new to you, and it might feel a little bit like, wait a minute, I should be able to breathe and this should be really easy. But when you're learning it as a conscious practice, it is going to feel like you're juggling lots of different things. So meet yourself without judgment and meet the practice instead with curiosity. And if it feels a little bit challenging to start with, that's okay. Just keep practicing. I would say start with rounds of just 4 breaths to start with, and then allow yourself to relax, and then practice maybe 2 or 3 more rounds again. And if you do that every day or every second day, you'll find that it becomes easier and easier and easier, and your capacity expands. Your capacity for the amount of counts that you can do, but also your lung capacity itself. So it's a really exciting thing to practice. So we'll try one more round, and this is just of our diaphragmatic breathing. And then I suggest you either do it in a practice where you're just practicing by yourself, or you could use something like calming meditation music, which I've put some examples of in the resources to practice along with, so it doesn't feel quite so like, ah! I know sometimes I practice better if I'm using a little bit of music, just to kind of have something to focus on as well. So let's try one more round. So relaxing those shoulders, roll out a little bit, and then let yourself land. So this time we'll just go for counts of 2. So nice deep breath in, let the belly expand, rib cage expand, and breathe out. Next one, breathe in, let that belly expand, and let go. Keeping that heart lifted, breathe in. The belly filling like a balloon, chest opening, and breathing out. Last one, breathe in. And breathe out and relax. Amazing. Notice how that feels. See if you feel a little bit calmer than when we started. Recognize if that was a little bit easier than the first round. And then just let yourself take a break, and we'll go on to the next lesson when you are ready to practice it.